What began as a picture-perfect love story between two of Gen Z's most talked-about stars has now spiraled into a disturbing, high-profile legal battle. Halle Bailey, singer, actress, and breakout star of Disney's The Little Mermaid, has filed for a temporary restraining order against rapper and YouTube personality DDG, alleging serious abuse that spans emotional, verbal, and physical harm. With social media ablaze and fan communities at war, the drama has taken on a life of its own, highlighting how messy, public, and painful love can become in the age of digital celebrity. According to court documents obtained in early May 2025, Bailey described a series of disturbing incidents between her and DDG, real name Daryl Dwayne Granberry Jr., that culminated in a violent altercation in January. The singer alleges that during an argument inside a parked vehicle, DDG grabbed her by the neck and hair, slamming her face into the steering wheel with such force that she chipped a tooth and sustained bruises. Adding a heart-wrenching detail to the account, their one-year-old son, Halo, was reportedly in the backseat when the alleged assault occurred. Bailey's filing paints a picture of sustained emotional torment, stating that DDG would often take her car keys to prevent her from leaving, berate her during arguments, and accuse her publicly of infidelity and parental alienation. As the court documents revealed, Bailey claims she remained silent for months out of fear, concern for her son's well-being, and uncertainty over how the public would react, especially considering DDG's devoted fanbase and influential online presence. The restraining order, granted by a Los Angeles judge, now prevents DDG from coming within 100 yards of Bailey and her child. The court also approved her request to travel internationally with their son for a 2-month film shoot in Italy, an early sign that the legal system might be leaning in her favor, at least for now. But the legal battle is only part of the story. The public reaction to the restraining order was swift, emotional, and highly polarized, exposing deep divisions within the fan communities of both stars. Once the news hit TMZ, it exploded. Within mere hours, the story racked up over 24 million views and more than 100,000 likes across social media. The comments section turned into a virtual war zone. "Thank God she's safe and away from him. DDG is absolutely disgusting," one user wrote. Another, more passionately, stated, "Oh DDG, you will reap what you sow. No way you put your hands on my mermaid angel." These emotional outcries reflected not only public concern, but also a kind of protective instinct among Bailey's fanbase, many of whom have followed her since her early days in the sister duo Chloe x Hal under the guidance of Beyonce. However, the reaction wasn't universally supportive. Bailey has revealed in legal filings that she's been subjected to online hate and harassment since the news broke, much of it stemming from DDG's followers. Some have accused her of fabricating the abuse, claiming she's using the legal system to manipulate custody arrangements or gain public sympathy as her acting career continues to rise. DDG's online defenders have even accused her of sabotaging his success, especially after his recent career milestones, like recognition from Drake and his growing influence in the music and live streaming space. The moment the restraining order hit the news cycle, DDG was live on stream with influencer Adin Ross. Captured in real time, his response was a mix of disbelief and denial. "That can't be real," he said while staring at his phone, visibly shaken. Ross immediately came to his friend's defense, calling the allegations cap and reminding viewers that DDG is a real father, a good human being. Some viewers interpreted the exchange as evidence of DDG's innocence, his apparent shock read as authentic. Others, however, saw it as strategic posturing, a public relations pivot designed to preemptively shape the narrative. Meanwhile, DDG's longtime friend and fellow content creator Phantom went live with his own passionate rebuttal of Bailey's claims. "If this happened in January, why she ain't say nothing in January?" Phantom asked, questioning her delay in seeking legal protection. He suggested the allegations were suspiciously timed, possibly tied to DDG's recent successes. "You can't prove he's a bad father. You just trying to take his son and ruin his name," he insisted, adding that too often women weaponize legal systems in the midst of personal or custody disputes. Online, public opinion remained bitterly split. Some supporters of DDG flooded social platforms with messages casting Bailey as manipulative or dishonest, while Bailey's allies condemned what they saw as a classic pattern of victim blaming and gaslighting. This clash of narratives illustrates the dangerous tightrope victims often walk in the public eye, where every detail of their story is dissected and weaponized, and where support can just as easily morph into doubt or mockery. The story took yet another turn when it entered traditional media. On The Breakfast Club, Charlamagne Tha God made a pointed observation. She did what you're supposed to do in that situation. She went to the police, to the courts. A judge granted her that restraining order. That's not easy to get. DJ Envy backed him up, saying she had evidence, text messages, photos. You can't just walk in and say you're scared. A judge needs to see something real. The show's commentary served as a rare moment of measured clarity in an otherwise chaotic media storm. Court reporter Lauren Leva provided additional context, sharing that Bailey was emotional but composed during her court appearance. She cried a little in the beginning of her testimony, but kept it together, Leva said. She asked for 2 breaks, held herself with grace. It was hard to watch, honestly. Beyond the legal implications, this case has forced a reckoning with how intimate partner violence is treated in the digital age, especially when it involves celebrities. Social media can amplify voices, but it can also drown them in misinformation and hate. For Halle Bailey, a woman who has fought to break barriers in entertainment, the decision to come forward wasn't just risky, it was revolutionary. As the first Black actress to play Ariel in a Disney film, her legacy carries weight, and accusations like these can either erode or reinforce the strength of her public persona, depending on how the narrative unfolds. For DDG, the stakes are just as high. As a self-made artist and digital entrepreneur, his brand relies heavily on public perception. Allegations of abuse, regardless of their legal outcome, can derail sponsorships, tours, content deals, and public trust. The restraining order already limits his access to Halo, a child he frequently featured in vlogs and social content. If the court sides with Bailey in the long term, DDG could face ongoing restrictions and reputational damage that takes years to repair. But perhaps the most heart-wrenching part of this unfolding drama is Halo himself, just 18 months old, caught in the middle of an adult storm he cannot yet comprehend. Whether he ends up in the care of one parent more than the other, or whether the courts find a way to maintain joint custody, his future will forever be shaped by these moments. The next legal hearing, scheduled for June 4, 2025, will be pivotal. Until then, the temporary restraining order remains in place, and the entertainment world watches with bated breath. This is more than a celebrity scandal. It's a test of justice, truth, and how far we've come, or still need to go, when it comes to believing victims and holding public figures accountable. What began as a glamorous love story filled with red carpets and Instagram milestones has dissolved into a bitter legal and emotional war. It's a cautionary tale about the hidden darkness behind even the most curated public image, and a reminder that in the era of digital exposure, no love story is immune from scrutiny, suspicion, or heartbreak.